Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be talking about a policy decriminalizing drugs. Now, everyone I know, regardless of if they're religious or not, are okay with alcohol. Maybe not okay with underage drinking, but okay with the whole idea of being able to drink at a certain age. Now, I know people always relate alcohol and drugs when the topic of decriminalization comes up. But think about it in this sense. Both are toxic to your system, but then why is one readily available in stores and the other one only available in the streets? Even if there's people who have no interest in doing any of the drugs, why are drug users always considered criminals or bad citizens? Like how alcohol is okay until you become a violent alcoholic, drugs should be okay until abused. All dopamine intercepting drugs should be decriminalized. I'm not trying to say all drugs should be legalized, but that dopamine intercepting drugs like amphetamine, cocaine, and heroin should be decriminalized. The difference is that legalization is basically leaving the consumer to do whatever they want with the product, whereas decriminalization is removing criminal and monetary penalties for possessing the drugs but still leaving the states to regulate it. The issue with amphetamine and cocaine and heroin is their effect on health and safety. So what are the main societal issues that lies in the drug war? Most people argue that drugs are immoral and dangerous. Immoral is not conforming to accepted standards of morality, which in this case it is immoral to harm your own body and thus affecting those around you. Opinion varies on both sides, although drug war supporters are clearly more likely to feel that drug use is intrinsically immoral, but there are also people on the side of reform who have essentially the same feelings about drug use. Both sides also agree that drugs can be dangerous to some people. Supporters of reform will point out that the legal drugs are illegal. Opponents of reform seem to make the leap that because drugs are dangerous or immoral, the best approach to the problem is to throw people in prison. This, of course, is illogical because there are lots of problems in society which are either dangerous and or immoral, but that doesn't mean that prison is the best solution to all of them. Today, I'm going to discuss why dopamine intercepting drugs should be decriminalized due to their medical uses and ability to decrease rates of criminalization. To begin with, amphetamine, cocaine, and heroin are all highly addictive drugs with considerable side effects and toxic in large quantities. However, there are many instances in which these drugs are actually a necessity in the medical world. Amphetamine and cocaine are currently illegal in the US, but approved in some instances for medical uses because they are able to stimulate the nervous system, thus treating depression, ADD, obesity, and narcolepsy. A mental health specialist, Julie Fast, was diagnosed with ADD her entire life and testified that it affected her work and school life and relationships. She gained low self-esteem along with her inability to concentrate and focus. She finally went to seek medical help, and doctors prescribed to her Ritalin and Adderall, which are actually both amphetamines. She now claims that without taking her medications, all the symptoms of ADD will return. On the other hand, heroin is similar to oxycodone, codeine, and morphine, which are all commonly used opiates and are perfectly legal. They all just loosen people up at different speeds. Think about in comparison to like the difference of how fast beer, wine, or Jack Daniels can get you drunk. Opiates are often used for severe acute pain due to their infraction or heart attack, end-stage cancer pain, post-surgical pain, terminal illnesses, and more. However, heroin is preferred because fat soluble it can reach the target tissue more easily than morphine, and it is more potent. In fact, most other countries like the UK actually use heroin instead because smaller doses of heroin is more effective than large doses of morphine. Similar to fighting doctors heroin for drug addiction management. In the UK, professionals use heroin to manage addiction and lower doses in controlled amounts. This method is superior to methadone for chronic addicts because it doesn't cause the excessive effects of withdrawal like jitters and hallucinations. Besides, from the medical point of view, there's also the high rates of criminalization due to drug abuse. As has pointed out, currently every prison in the U.S. has already reached over the limit of capacity. According to the 1988 Statistical Abstract of the U.S., between 1979 and 1985, the number of people in federal and state prisons and local jails grew by 58%, which is 9 times faster than the general population. Governments at all levels keep building more prisons, spending our money, but the number of new prisoners keep outpacing the capacity to hold them. Of 32,000 such as prisoners in federal institutions, drug violators were the largest category at 10,000. Since 1985, the courts have released drug-related criminals to the street as quickly as possible to free prison space for real criminals. Decriminalizing drugs would relieve the strain and burden on the prison system, since drug offenders would no longer be incarcerated. Also, since drug users would no longer commit violent crimes to pay artificially high prices for their habits, there would be fewer drug-related to incarcerate. Instead of building more prisons, we could pocket the savings and still be safer. As I've mentioned before in my previous speech on dopamine, dopamine is quite the valuable neuron because of its control over body functions and mental abilities. And due to its value to the body, all dopamine-incepting drugs, specifically heroin, amphetamine, and cocaine, should be decriminalized. I suggest a policy of decriminalizing these drugs due to their value in the medical world, saving money on having to buy more drugs when smaller doses of these currently illegal drugs can do the same with less, and due to their ability to decrease incarceration of the wrong types of criminals, up as well. So I ask, why are we so comfortable with our medical morphine and Percocet and the good cough medicine that fights phlegm while enabling fun? Because that's always been that way and we're used to it, and because it's associated with professionals in white coats rather than slackers in torn denim who use the word dude more than we discuss speech in this class. No drug should be abused, even over-the-counter drugs, so why are we discriminating against certain drugs?